There was a noticeable drop in attendance today at Washington High School after the superintendent told students not to bring their backpacks for the rest of the week after a safety scare. The school sent an email regarding a risk that showed up in one of their bathroom stalls Tuesday. Administration requested students not to bring their book bags so students can move more swiftly into the school without those bags being checked. They also requested student athletes keep their bags in a car and retrieve it after school. If not, the school would give them a safe place to put their after-school stuff. The potential safety risk is still under investigation. The school will also be providing extra police security for the rest of the week.
That was the purpose in the email. I think that got a little misconstrued, that we were saying no backpacks, but really it's just trying to keep things as simple and streamlined as possible.
Superintendent Dr. Kyle Freeman didn't share just how many students were absent today, but said it was a noticeable amount. He hopes to see things go back to normal by Monday. A follow-up for this situation will be sent by the schools. We'll have an update on our website as we learn more at 25newsnow.com.